Okay, I'm going to play some Blitz and Rapid here. Let's start with the Blitz game to warm up, and e4. Okay, we got a Sicilian, Jormondors. Okay, it's could still be going for a classical Sicilian with knight to f6 here, but he allowed me to play a Maraxi bind, so I guess I should do that. Looks like he was expecting that. Do I have to take? So if I bring my bishop out to defend, his queen maybe can take here, maybe not. It may be one of those positions where it's not a good move. How else can I defend the knight? I could retreat the knight, or I could take. How about, yeah, usually I take in that position, but how about I just retreat the knight and try and keep all the pieces on. With a Maraxi bind, you have more space than your opponent, so one idea is just to keep as many pieces on the board as you can. He's going to put his bishop here and attack my pawn. And let's see, if I just play the queen to here, to c2, which is kind of natural, he will jump his knight into this square, into b4, hitting my queen. So I will defend with the funny move. Oh, well, I could develop my knight. That's the more logical way to defend, isn't it? And I'm just going to go for that typical Maraxi bind setup. Castle king side. Bishops lined up on the e-file. This little line of pawns very solidly supporting the center, and I can pop a knight into I can pop a knight into e5 at any time. So yeah, one drawback of my setup is I did not adequately defend this pawn. Well, here, this will do it. Then I can bring the rook here to the c-file, play b3. Maybe I could play b3 immediately, because it takes two moves for black to unmask the bishop on this diagonal. So now I've got the whole setup here, except for the knight in front of the queen here. This is a bit of an odd piece. But well, I'll put this knight on d5 and bring the other knight in via maybe b1 to c3 to d5. In standard lines, this knight would have ended up on c2 if I had just retreated back to c2, but I don't think that was an option at the time when I played knight b3. Maybe it was. So anyway, yeah, I've got something slightly non-standard. So now I can put my queen on c2. He doesn't have a knight ready to hop into b4 anymore. Let's go ahead and do that. And try and maneuver this knight from d2 to maybe c3. Okay, so this is interesting. I could take with either pawn. I think I will take with the e-pawn. And go for pressure on the e-file here. Also shields my queen from immediate attacks along the c-file here. And now there's a square for my knight. This knight could go directly Could go directly here. Do I want that? How about if I kick this knight first? His knight, where's it going? It could go here. Okay, I'm gonna take some squares away from that knight and then play f4. So it would have to go back to d7, I think. That's the only square that the knight can go to after I kick it. That's interesting. I thought he was just going to play b5. Chip away at this pawn here. So now I've got a weak pawn here I can attack. It's the best way to do that. The knight could go to f3. The bishop could go to f3. I don't know, I still think actually this knight belongs on c3 here. Might be wrong. Can drop this bishop back to attack his queen, chase him or her, chase her away from these squares. This little bit of pressure on the C files is annoying. And the A file. Where's the queen go after I start to chase the queen? Could come forward to A3 even. If I played knight C3 first, but if I play the bishop here first, queen would have to go back to A6. Or would be in the line of fire of this bishop. But I wouldn't. That bishop would not be defended. Maybe then rook. So maybe bishop d2, rook e1. And I'm threatening either bishop here or pawn forward to try and gain something. So kick the queen first. He gains the tempo. True. And when he pushed the pawn forward to b4, right, he gave b5, he gave the b6 square for his queen. So the queen is not on a6, so it's not on that diagonal that I was trying to get it onto. Okay, just defended there. So let's continue with this plan. Attack that e-pawn. See how he wants to defend it. Yeah, so this is a decision point. I think it's better to take with the bishop here. And I am attacking. But I certainly could have taken with the pawn as well. But I wanted to quickly get the rook onto this file here. So now let's get the knight in. And okay, I can't put the knight here. Well, I can, but it'll just get, yeah, it'll get taken. I could put it here. I wonder if I can push this pawn forward. Let's try it. Just was thinking this would be a nice square to have for my knight. It would allow me to coordinate on e7 there. Although it will take some maneuvering to get there. Oh, look at that. He just stepped back. He's opening up the bishop so he can trade off, I guess, along the dark squared diagonal. Or, oh, he's going to put his knight here, I guess. Okay, so bishop here, attacking the pawn. Knight there. So he probably wants to take my bishop. I can put my knight here still. Kind of want to get my knight out of the line of fire a little bit and then line up with my queen over here on the F file. So I don't mind the trade at this point. So he's piling up on the pawn. I'm going to pile up over here. But I can't do that, huh? Let's see if we can get rid of that knight one way or another. It goes back there. So if I take this pawn, I can get 2 rooks for the queen, but that's not that great, is it? Okay, let's do something a little more interesting there. Oh, I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble. My queen is, let's see, if I play the check here, the knight defends his queen. Have to drop back. Got myself in trouble there. Ran out of time. Well, it was an interesting game. Just had to move faster at the end. It's a trick, but gotta do it. Okay, let's play a rapid game. That was like my warm-up game. I wanted to get a rapid game. Oh, that was very quick. H. Alile. Okay, now let's see. Might try to get a Grunfeld here if I can. No, he's going to go with some... okay, he's not playing the Kala. I mean, he's not playing the London system immediately. He might be playing a Kala Zukertort. Pawn to e3 and bishop here. I don't want to play against this. I could go back to my Grunfeld idea here then. It's not really a Grunfeld, but maybe it'll have some things in common with the bishop here and the pawn here. But I won't be able to undermine the center. It won't be the similar. It will not be the same kind of philosophy or whatever, strategy. It won't be the same kind of strategy. Yeah. I think I would like to get the move pawn to e5 in one go. Can I do that? Not so easily with his bishop here. Okay, the other option is to go with pawn to c5. It takes. Bring my queen out here. Can't too easily defend it. Let's go ahead and try this. Creating a little space on the queen side for my pieces. See how he plays super fast, even though this is a rapid game. We start with 15 minutes and we have 10 seconds increment per move. And he's just snapping out all these moves like it was a blitz game. Okay, now it's the light squared bishop. I have to decide what I want to do with. Maybe bishop f5 is possible. He attacks it with the knight. I have to retreat or, yeah. Well, a possibility is the knight to b4 and bishop to f5 coordinating on the c2 square. But if I play knight b4, he can just kick it. So I don't know. And if I play the bishop first, then he can attack the bishop with the knight. Let's trade this pawn off. Yeah, I was curious to see if he was going to try and take with a piece. So now his bishop is blocked in, and my bishop can attack the pawn. Let's try knight b5 here. Knight b4. Can he undermine it in some way? He can attack it with the bishop too. I can defend it with a pawn. He attacks it with that pawn. Okay. Yep. I have to drop back. Aha. So yeah, I helped him out then because I gave him a move. Well, I don't know. This a3, I don't know if that's such a great move. He could have played this c4 move anyway. So he's going for the hanging pawns, I guess. Let's take. So against the hanging pawns, I think I will play e3, e6 rather, and b6 and bishop b7. Develop that way, have fianchettoed bishops crossing the area where the hanging pawns are. This one in front and this one hitting one of the pawns. The purpose of e3 is to stop d5, and the purpose, I mean, e6 stops d5. Ah, so he doesn't go for the hanging pawns, he goes for the bishop there. So that's a little different, but I could attack the bishop. Or I could pin the knight. Here, let's start with the pin on the knight. Maybe I can gang up and get enough pieces on this pawn to take it. I've got a bishop, potentially, a knight, and a queen. And if I take out this knight, oh, he'll take back with the knight. Maybe, though, I'll just trade off my bishop and park a knight on the d5 square. and play e3 to support it, then e6 to support the knight. So yeah, get the knight here, put the pawn here, and I'll have a very solid setup against his isolated queen's pawn. So, in furtherance of this, I will just trade here. And I'll start with this knight move. So he can't push the pawn forward. So he's got the bishop pair and an isolated queen's pawn. And I should be able to get a good blockade on it. So I think it's still round even. This could still transpose into a hanging pawn situation if I traded off this bishop and he took back with a pawn, which I could do with a move like knight to a5. But I want to, we'll see how the situation develops here. Before I make a decision like that, I want to see if I can get everything set up nicely. Okay. Get that pawn there. I mean, the other way to deploy this knight is to bring it back to, oh, just leaving it where it is probably good. Maybe put a rook on the c file first and then threaten knight a5, threaten to win a pawn there. You can support it with the rook on the c file, of course. So I've got two pieces lined up, a third counting the queen. Now should I move the knight? Let's start with the rook here. I don't want to take his knight. It just brings his pawn forward and increases the scope of his dark squared bishop. So I would rather just kick that knight away, which I might do with f6 at some point, but for the moment I'm just going to allow it to stay there. Ah, he's looking at this weakness here. Very interesting, but he didn't defend the bishop. So can I play knight a5? I think I can. He can defend with the rook still. Can I follow up with something good? Just take. I could bring the knight back. Knight to e7, looking at f5 to block the queen. The knight can always be chased away by pawn to g4. I'm thinking about playing b5 here, kicking the bishop back. Oh, he doesn't like that. Ah, interesting. So now isn't this a little better? Maybe not. Maybe not. I was just thinking its pawn structure would look a little weak with all these pawns on the same row, but I guess they're okay. So I'm really expecting rook to c1 here. Aha, he moves the bishop, attacking my rook. So I can take his bishop, he takes my rook. And I can move my knight, hitting his queen. Or take the bishop, he takes the rook, take the knight, hitting his queen. Takes back. And I take the bishop. I gain 3 pieces for a rook and a knight. Isn't that winning? I mean, isn't that good for me? Knight takes bishop. Rook takes knight. Knight takes knight. He doesn't have time for bishop takes bishop because his queen is hanging. So he takes my knight, I take his bishop. And his queen is still here, his pawn is here, or rook there. My bishop is here. My knight is here. Looks good. Let's try it. See if I missed anything. You have to trust your calculations sometimes. That's how you get better, right? Try these things out. You calculate them as best you can. And then you play them. And then you'll find out if you were right or wrong. And if you were wrong, then you learn, well, you should have thought harder, thought longer, or looked a little deeper, or maybe there's a certain kind of tactic you're overlooking that you missed. But yeah, so I got 2 pieces for a rook as a result of that. And the pawns are even, so I didn't give up any material to get that. He has active pieces. So let's see what I can do. Let's get the queen out. That's a good knight there. My bishop is not doing much. Where do I want the bishop? I was thinking, yeah, I could put it on the okay. I can trade rooks and then drop my queen back to defend the back rank. Or I could keep rooks on. Let him have the C file. I'm controlling this square, this square, this square, this square, and this square at the moment. He can bring more force in here. Rook is defended, so I can move the knight. I can bring the bishop out to f5 here. So it looks like he's thinking of doubling or bringing the rook over here to attack. But he can't go to the C file. Maybe his idea is just to double. So when he doubles rooks, can I stop him from getting a rook down here? I could do that by retreating my knight. Let's attack this pawn, see what he thinks about that. So this knight, I still like this knight here. It is Looking at the, it's guarding the C7 square here. It's also guarding the F4 square. Very useful to have those covered. Yeah, it's still a long way to winning this game. This is a tricky position. The rooks are just easier to maneuver with than my pieces, but if I can find good squares for them, and he decides to just go for it. So I'm going to take here. He's going to play his rook to the back rank. I will take once, he'll take back, it's check. I step up. And the queen cannot easily check me because my bishop will be guarding the f6 square as well as the knight. So as far as I can tell, this is still okay for me. I don't even have to take his rook, actually, because my rook is defended, although maybe it's useful at that point to take it. Anyway, getting rid of that pawn is a big help. That was an annoying feature of the position. So if I just take his rook, he's down to a queen and a rook. So it would be nice if I had a rook too, because I would have more mate threats with the rook on. Let's see. So if I move my queen, he'll take, and I take. I think I might as well just take myself and step up here. And I want to think of coordinating my queen and bishop, looking at this square and looking at the back rank somehow. Not so easy for his queen. His queen and the rook want to coordinate on my f7 square, but his rook can't go here. And also I can retreat a piece back to the f6 square to protect things. Ah, so he goes there. So which way should I defend? I can defend with the queen. Which threatens also his king. Or I could have moved. I didn't want to move the bishop back because it's on a good diagonal, but I could have considered moving the knight back. Knight's on a good perch too, though. So now he's got a mate threat to worry about. He's got a loose rook on the back rank. Oh, I could have just taken his rook. Oh, I'm such an idiot. I could have just taken his rook. I just said he couldn't put his rook here. I should have also mentioned he couldn't put his rook there either. Oh, that is too funny. Especially in a rapid game. We have all this time to think about moves and we still make blunders like that. Well, I'm still going to upload this. I still think it's an interesting game. So yeah, he's in trouble. He can't save his king from mate and save his rook at the same time. So he might as well resign here. So even though I didn't take his rook, he's not going to escape anyway. I guess that's the advantage of playing forcing moves, is it doesn't give your opponent time to repair his mistakes. Sometimes you play a forcing move and it exactly is the move your opponent needs, because when he plays a defensive move, it solves all his problems. So the right answer here was to be alert enough to take the rook in the first place. Yeah, so let's just take the wreck. So that solves the mate problem. And yeah, I could just drop my bishop back. I don't have to drop it back. Because it is defended by the queen. See, I'll give a check here. The queen will be on a dark square. This king will come up. Yeah, let's put my king back here. I can drop the bishop back this way or this way. I need to kind of push some pawns forward to destroy the pawn cover around his king. And so I'm thinking that I'll get the bishop back here, defended by the king. I'll move the e-pawn forward. There's a double check here that would win the queen. He stops that. Let's see. Let's start by pushing this pawn forward. So his only hope here is to try and get some kind of perpetual check on my king. So I was thinking knight here, but he can just take it now. But while knight here, defended by the bishop. And then penetrate with my queen. Yeah, he saw the same idea. But I can just chase him off of pretty much any location I want, because he never wants to trade. It's a hopeless endgame with two pieces and an extra pawn for me. I mean, this is hopeless too, but he's still playing. So you gotta not give it up. Okay, so let's penetrate to the back rank somehow. This is good. I could have taken a pawn there, of course. But now I'm threatening the check, which will force a queen trade. And if he removes his queen from the area so he doesn't get traded, then yeah, let's just do this. Simplest way to win. Is he still going to play? Or is he going to let his clock run out? It's the only problem with these long time controls. Your opponents can let their clocks run for a long time. King can't really cross this line here with the bishop and all those pawns. I'm going to take a pawn over here and just queen it. Queen my h-pawn. Yeah, okay, he resigned. Anyway, well, that's it for this session. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.